Hello and hi. So today I'm gonna teach everyone how to make this Percy Jackson inspired book sleeve that currently has the Titan's Curse in it because I've been reading that and I can't seem to get through it. But anyway, off topic. This book sleeve took about, I think, maybe a day and a half to make. And I'd say it's kind of intermediate. I don't know if it's really beginner friendly, mainly just because of the graph. I'll show you that in a second. So basically for this project, what you will need is a ball of yarn of your choosing, I mean like color-wise, but I'm using Bernat Premium in a 4-weight. And then I'm also using just this tiny ball of I really don't know, but I think it's also a 4-weight. If not, then it's a 3-weight. But it works just the same. Then you will need a 5mm crochet hook, a darning needle, and a pair of scissors. And as far as I know, I think that's all you need. So yeah, let's get started. Anyway. So basically now we're going to do the trident part, which is a graph. So for this we will need to use this graph. So working with graphs is pretty easy. Basically just each square represents a single crochet. So basically however many base single crochets to however many rows. So I'll show you how to work with that in a... Okay, so now you want to take your main yarn. We're going to start the graph. So first you want to chain 19, do a slip knot. If you don't know how to do that, there's like tons of tutorials. If you don't know how to do anything, just like search up some tutorials on YouTube. I could make a tutorial later on, but this one's gonna take me long enough. So basically chain 20. So yeah. Okay, once you have crocheted 20, you want to skip a stitch. You should only have 19 crochets like when you do your sewn crochets. You should never have 20 because we're skipping a stitch. So we're not going into here, but we're going into the next one. So insert your hook and just do a single crochet. Now we're going to do, okay, so in total we're going to do 8 single crochets, but we're going to stop at 7 and I'm going to show you how to change colors. So we've done 1, now we want to do 6 more. Okay, so we've done 7 single crochets, and now I'm going to show you how to change color while still including, like, let me try and phrase this. You'll switch, you won't do like a complete crochet. You'll end up switching colors, but it'll still count as a blue single crochet. Because we're going to insert, oh, that's not an insert. We're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop. We're going to cut the yarn. Don't cut the crochet hook. Then we are going to switch to our yellow yarn and loop it around our hook and pull through our 2 loops, and then you can just like pull this tail that you just cut just to tighten it. Now what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna like do that. Take these 2 tails from the ones that you just cut and tie them together, just so that it doesn't come apart, or else it will come apart. I've had so many, like not so many, but I've had a few crochet projects come apart because I haven't been tying them properly. You can do 2 knots. I'm paranoid, so I'm going to do 3 knots. But as long as you tie them tight enough without breaking the yarn, which shouldn't happen if you have good yarn, then it won't come apart. All right. And now, as the graph says, basically you just want to follow the graph the entire time. Like you should always have your graph in front of you. Because I don't really look at my phone a lot when I'm crocheting, the only reason I do is to watch stuff, and I can't have 2 things open at once. I find it helpful to write out my graph on a piece of grid paper, so then I can always have that paper copy, especially if I want to make more like I'm doing right now. So basically what you want to do now is our 3 single crochets, but we're going to stop, or we're going to do 2, and then again I'm going to just like show you one more time how to change colors. It's the same every time. So you've done 2 single crochets, and then we're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, cut our yellow yarn, and then, if I can do this, and then blue yarn, loop over our hook, insert, pull, and then tie it. I'm going to tie it in a second. I'll just like finish my row first. As long as like they're tied at the end, like I always, once I'm done a project, I always go back and make sure everything's tied. So now we're going to do our 8 more single crochets, and that will finish off the row. So we can just do those. And boom, that is 1 row done. Pat yourself on the back because you got it. And if you didn't, you will get it. I promise you, you will get it. So that is the first row of just the Trident patch. Oh my gosh, it's glitching. Of just the patch. That's the first row. So basically, now we're just going to follow the graph. And the same row we just did, 8 single crochets with 3 in the middle and then 8 more single crochets. We're going to do that for 10 rows as the graph shows. If anyone has any problems, just like comment, let me know. I'll try and fix it, or I'll try and explain better. But you want to do 10 more rows of this exact thing. Just look at the graph. Always look at the graph. I cannot stress that enough. Then, once you're done your 10, which I think stops about here. Once you're done your 10 rows, always keep track of your rows. That's another thing. Like, if you're doing it on your phone, mark off every time that you finished a row. So, like, let me try and explain this better. If you have your graph, use a marker to, like, on your page or on your phone, like, go into editor and then just, like, draw a line through every row that you've done, and then you can even put like a little check mark beside it. That's what I do sometimes, just to know that you completed a row, or else it'll be a little bigger and it might be wonky. You don't want to overdo too many rows. For this, you can probably get away with it, but up top you don't want to. So once we're done our 10 rows down here of just like the plain 8 3 8, then we can come up here and I'll show you guys basically, like, again, just look at the graph, but I'll help you guys through this part. And then once we're done our pocket, then I'll show you guys how to do just the main book sleeve and then the top part. So yeah, let's do our other 10 rows now. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's the next day. I don't know why, I don't know why it took me so long to do this, but I did not want to finish it last night. So it's the next day, and we have all 10 of our rows done. So now, looking at the graph, we are going to continue the rest of the Trident piece. So yeah, so I will help you guys with some of it. I'm not gonna like film myself doing all of it, but like I'll help you guys with the first few rows and then how to work with it. And then yeah, we'll get that finished. All right, I've got my poorly drawn graph right here. It's very awfully drawn. So we've done the first 10 rows, and now we're going to start working on these. So you should have your graph like literally just right in front of you like I have here. So I'll show you how to go through maybe the first like 4 rows. And then from there, I think you guys can do it. I think you can do it. I'm confident. All right, so we'll start back up. I haven't weaved or like cut any of my tails. I've tied them, but I'm actually gonna say it now, cut them as you go, because there are going to be so many and you won't be able to see what you're doing. So I'm actually gonna cut mine now. Wait, give me a second. Oh, Cheeto. I just did that really quickly. But if you don't, they'll like get tangled and then you won't be able to see where you're crocheting. And you might actually even crochet a tail in, which is not, I've done that a few times. Okay, so we're gonna chain 1. I don't know if I told anyone, but chain 1 after, oh shoot, I should have been saying that. Okay, chain 1 after every row. Chain 1. And then, yeah. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna do 4 single crochets as our graph. 4 single crochets before we get here. Now, because our graph it's branching out by 4 single crochets from the 3 on each side. Oh, okay. We're not going to do a full single crochet. The 4th one is not going to be full one. We're going to change colors. So snip your yarn like we've been doing, attach your new yarn, pull the tail, and then tie them at the back. Tying them is probably the most tedious part of this project because you constantly have to keep tying, and it's a lot of work. And then like tying and cutting and tying and cutting, it's just time consuming. Like I don't know. This project would probably be like the craft part would probably be a lot quicker if you didn't have to keep tying it, but oh well, not much you can do about that. So dog hair everywhere, sorry. So now we're going to crochet 4. Back, and basically the next row, like on the graph, so we just did this row, the next row after that is basically like the same thing we just did. It's just like a little different, but yeah. So I'll tie that off in a second, and then I'll meet you guys back for the next row. Okay, and now we can just do like the same row over again. Like I said, I haven't been checking these off for some reason, but you can just like give her a little check mark. That is the sloppiest check mark ever. I'm doing one hand, so this is really difficult, and this marker sucks. Okay. It's the silliest little check mark I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, now we're gonna chain 1. Turn our work. Always turn your work. Always. Insert your hook. Do 3 single crochets, and then change your color. 4. Change our color. We should know, oh, I have the window open. We should know how to do this by now. If you don't, you can go back to the earlier parts of the video where I show you guys how to change color. And then surprise, surprise, more tying, of course. Okay, we're done tying now. That takes way too long. All right, and then we will do the same amount of single crochets again. La-di-da-di-da. And then, of course, cut our yarn. Insert our new yarn, and then tie it. Okay, so I think I kind of lied to you guys. I'm sorry, but I'm not actually gonna do 4 rows. I'll do 3 rows with you guys, because basically after the third one, you're basically just repeating the same thing for 3 more rows and then following the graph. So there's not really like any need for me to do all of that, you know? So, yeah. Okay, so now for the next row, we've done these 2 base rows, which is good for now. And then we can do this. So once you get to here, 2 gold single crochets, 2 blue, 3 gold, 2 blue, 2 gold. Okay, that was not even in frame, but that's okay. Now, yeah, we can just do that row. So let's do it. Hi, hello, so this is voiceover me, and I basically just wanted to say that in a few, like when I'm talking about the main part of the book sleeve, I accidentally say 12 rows when it's actually 15 rows, and then I say 44 crochets instead of 42. So basically what I meant to say was there's 15 double crochet rows in total and there's 42 double crochets in a row. Also, look at the graph that you have on your device or that you have drawn out. Do not look at the graph in the video, because at the top of the trident on either side, I accidentally put 4 single crochets on one side and 3 on the other side. Now, to be specific, 3 is the right amount. 4 is wrong. I accidentally made a mistake when I was drawing out my graph, so look at your graph and don't look at mine. Just saying. Okie dokie, and at this point I think you should have 13 rows done, so congratulations. We have this first part done. So now we can continue on for the next, I think it's like 12 rows, and you should be good. I think you guys can finish the graphs on your own now. So yeah, just always look at your graph, chain 1 before every row, turn your work constantly, and tie your knot constantly. Like, always be tying these, always, because it'll come apart if you don't. So always tie them. It's good to keep a stitch count just so you know like how many stitches you have on either side, because you don't want to lose track. That won't be fun. But yeah, I think you guys can do the rest, and I will meet you back when we're done with the little trident patch and we can move on to the main part of the book sleeve. So yeah, let's do it. Okie dokie, and by now you should be done your trident patch. This took me like way longer than expected, so don't be, do not be upset if you don't get it finished in a timely manner. There is no such thing as a timely manner. Literally just go at your own speed, especially if you're like newer to crocheting. Literally just go at your own speed. Don't overcomplicate it. You got this. So the worst is over. We have this big scary part done, and now literally all we have to do is just the main double crochet of the main book sleeve. And there's a little bit of half double crochet too, and then these side pieces are single crochet, but we do these side pieces at the very ending of all of it. So yeah, next what you want to do, taking your blue yarn or like your main color yarn, you want to make a chain big enough to go from here all the way around to here, to the other side of the book. We're not going to measure this length, but more or less the width of all the way around. So I'm going to chain mine. I've got my slip knot already, but yeah, now you can just start chaining the width of all the way around your book. Now we're going to do 12, or I think it's about 12 rows of double crochet. Just to start, just do 12 rows of double crochet. I'll do 1 row and then I'll come back to you guys, and then we can do the rest of the 12. And then we'll go back after that and I'll show you how to do this bit here where we stitch it all together, sew on the pocket, and yeah. So let's go. Okay, so in total you should have 42 crochets because we skipped, I think we only did like 43 or 44, and then we skipped 1 or 2 as you always do. And then, so yeah, you should have 42, enough to, like I said, wrap around your book entirely. So let me just ditch this crochet real quick. Oh dear. Oh golly. The road's getting bumpy, consensus. So yeah, you just want it to wrap around your book completely. So it should have a little bit of an overhang, but like not by much, maybe by like 1 or 2 crochets. So now we're going to do at least 12 more rows, and then we'll stop when we get to 12. So yeah. And I'll show you what to do from there. So yeah, good luck. Okay, so I ended up actually doing 15 rows. So yeah, this is 15 rows, and we measure it to the book to make sure that it fits around all of it. And so it does. Yay! And we are done with that main part. So basically all it is 15 rows of double crochet, and I think it was like 43 or 44 stitches or like double crochets in every row. So now I'm going to show you guys how to do this part, which connects it and it folds it over. So it depends on which like way you want to have it over your book, but I usually take the panel and then fold it this way, so to the right, and then that's where you're going to put your patch, is right on here, and I'll show you guys how to sew that on in a little bit. But first we're going to do, actually, wait, maybe we should put the, yeah, no, we're going to do this first. So take your yellow yarn, get it ready, and then I'll show you guys what to do. All right, so now what you're going to do, take your book sleeve, start at whatever end. I recommend starting at the end where there's actually, like, you can see the little V stitches. Because at the bottom, you can't. It's literally just the old chain. So for reference, where you would go in is, let's see if I can get this close enough up that you guys can see it. In a space here, don't go in here, but this little space right here. So there's one in every stitch. There's one right there, one right there. So it's basically the one side of the chain that we didn't use, and that's basically where you're going to go in. But to make things easier for ourselves, let's go in here first because we can actually see where our stitches are. So you can go over here. This is where I ended off. I snipped my yarn, but honestly you can just like snip it shorter because I left a really long tail for some reason. Then you can take your yellow or your golden yarn or your secondary color, whatever you want to call it, and you just want to attach that and then pull this really tight. You can tie these together eventually, but we're going to chain one, turn our work, and we're going to be doing single crochets in every stitch, but only through the back loop of our V. So let me demonstrate this. So back here, that's where we're going in. We're not going in both, we're just going in the back loop. And you want to do this all the way down your project. So an entire row, and then when we're done that, we're going to do another just normal crochet row. So I'll come back to you guys once I'm done doing my back loop only row, and then we'll do our other row. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, so I did the one row in the back loops only, and what you can kind of tell by doing the back loops only is that it creates this kind of like ledge, like it's flat, and that's what's gonna, okay, it's not working, I can't show this, but it's flat because you worked with the back row, so it doesn't add any height, it just prepares you for this flat part, which is perfect. And then what we can do now, since we've done that, back loops only, we can chain one, and then we can just single crochet normally. So you can just go through the whole thing now, just a normal single crochet. You don't have to do back loops for this next row. So yeah, you basically just want to do it all the way down, and then basically the same thing on the bottom, except you can't necessarily do back loops only for the bottom because there's no such thing as back loops only, because it's literally just this, like these little notches, like there's no such thing as back loops only. I mean, I guess if you wanted to go through just these loops, you could try, but basically just crochet normally on this bottom. And then you can, so we do our one row normally, and then if you want, the next row can be back loops only because you'll have this to work on. So you can do that, but I'll help you with that once I'm done this row. So do your back loops only row, then do your other normal row, and then we can cut it, or actually no, don't cut it, I take that back. Just do your normal row, and then we'll come back and we can slip stitch the sides together to create this part. So yeah, let's do that. Okie dokie, so we have done our second row, so we have done our 2 rows that, and as you can see, like, it's quite flat, and that's how we're going to connect it. So don't cut your yarn, leave your yarn, and you're going to, basically what we're going to do is we're going to take it the way it's supposed to be folded in this way, so these pieces are flat. So like I said, if you have it flat this way, fold it to the right so they are flat down. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it inside out so these pieces are sticking up in the air like this. Then we're going to take our yarn, or actually we're going to insert our hook here at the very end, and we're going to work it. We're only going to work it through 1 loop, and that's the front loop. So take your front loop, insert your hook through that, and then pull your yarn, or wait, yeah, okay. So insert your hook through the first loop of the other side, then into your yarn loop, and then where your yarn loop is coming out of, stick that in the back loop, and then pull through all 3 of those. So basically what you're doing is you're doing front loop, back loop. So front loop, back loop, and we're slip stitching. So we're just pulling it through and then pulling it through. So we're not crocheting or anything. We're just front loop, back loop, slip stitching. And you can do it loose because you don't want to pull it too tight. So front loop, back loop, pull, front loop, back loop, slip stitch, and just keep doing that until you get down to this side. And you just do it normally. Just because it's rounded, like, it doesn't matter. You just would do it normally. So yeah, just keep doing that all the way down until you have done. All right, once we're done that, we can cut it and then pull it. Or don't like pull it, but like, you know what I mean. Just like pull it through your loop and then like that. And it obviously will make it a little cinched. So now you can take it and flip it right side around. And just like that, you have your little top part. And then that is where your book will slide in. Just like that. It's that little top of the book rest. Once you have the other side done, basically just do the exact same thing that we just did, but on the bottom. Like literally the exact same thing. The 2 rows, and then turning it inside out and slip stitching it. And it'll be easier to know like when you're flipping it inside out now, because we know which side. So there should be kind of a crack here, so that's when you know your right side around. And when you're inside out, there should be a little spine here. So now we're just going to do the same thing on the bottom, and then we can sew the patch on, and I'll help you guys with that too. So let's go. Alright, so I have finished the main part and the 2 bottoms. So what you're going to do next is take your graph and pin it in 4 spots wherever you want to place it, totally up to you. And pin them down with safety pins because stitch markers can be very expensive. So with this one, I kind of did it crooked, as you can see. So I'm trying to like make this one straighter and keep it on this line here. So yeah, basically what you're going to do now is take your yellow yarn and, you know what, I think I actually have some in my bag. Yeah, I do. Okay, so take your yellow yarn and a good decent sized strand, like a good long strand. And then you're also going to take a darning needle and you're going to basically do a certain sewing stitch all the way around the border here. And I'll show you that stitch in a second. It's not very difficult. It's literally just an in and out kind of thing. So take your yarn and tie it to your darning needle. A darning needle is basically just a massive, like it's a bigger sewing needle, but exclusively for yarn. I mean, I guess you could use thread, but I don't see why you would want to. And then at the other end, just tie a few knots so it doesn't slip through. And then you can take it. It's going to be kind of hard to like showcase, but basically the stitch is an up and then down and then back up and down. So that's all we're doing is just kind of an up and down stitch, just a basic sewing stitch. And it doesn't matter how you do it, like you can literally do it any way. But yeah, now we're basically just going to sew this patch on and then your book sleeve will be done. So let's do that. And then you will be absolutely complete and you can give yourself a pat on the back. And I also recommend sewing it without the book in it because that's like, I mean, I don't see why you would anyway, but it's a lot more difficult when you have the book in it. So yeah, let's get started with the sewing. Okay, and boom, we did it. Now I didn't sew the top part to the book sleeve only because I like to put my phone in here like when I'm reading, and if I have like my phone I like to put it in this pocket because it actually fits perfectly, like depending on what phone you have, but for mine it fits really well. So I tried to make this one a little more center. It didn't work 100%, but it did its very best. And now we're going to weave in the ends. So basically to weave in the ends, just flip it inside out and then take your darning needle. I actually don't know if I can do this right now. Yeah, I don't have my darning needle with me, but basically just put your yarn through your darning needle and then weave it in and out of your crochets and then snip it, and you won't have any problems with ends or anything like that. Like I said, I don't know where my darning needle went right now, or else I would show you. But other than that, you are complete with your book sleeve. You did it. Yay! So now we can just slide our book on in there. And boom, our book is protected just like that with our little book sleeve with a little phone pouch. You can just like pull those over, but boom, you are finished and it looks really great, doesn't it? I think it looks really great. So this is my original one. I did use a brighter blue for this one than I did for this one. The gold is still the same though. But yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of this. Like, I really like this. The book sleeve was my own thing, but like the graph, I found it on Pinterest somewhere. I don't exactly remember where, and I cannot find the creator for the life of me. I have tried. So if anyone finds this on Pinterest, like the graph, let me know and I will tag the person who made it or the account that it is posted on, because it's not my graph. I don't know where it's from. But anyway, so yeah. If there are any questions, let me know. This was my first tutorial for like anything, so it was a little messy, I'm not gonna lie. And if you hear stuff in the background, like I noticed I can hear my roosters crowing in the background. I have a life, I have a family, I have pets, I have chicken, like it's noisy, okay? It's gonna be noisy. I'm just letting everyone know. So I hope this was easy enough to follow too. Like, if it wasn't, if there's anything you guys are struggling with, let me know and I'll try and sort it out. Other than that, yeah, that's probably it. I won't be posting on my YouTube a lot because I don't really post a lot of tutorials, but I post on my Pinterest every day if I can. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope if you make this, either DM me with a picture or post the picture and tag me because I'd love to see it. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video and this tutorial, though it was a little long, and I hope you did a good job. I wish you the best of luck.